Monza. It's becoming one of the best tracks on the calendar. Last year was fantastic, and boy, were we not disappointed this year. It's time to review the Italian Grand Prix of 2020. Welcome back, everybody. My name is Chris. This is Cass. Where do we even start?
Mamma mia, what a race. Every weekend, we just think it's going to be the same old story, but not this time. We were treated to a wild race, an insane race, an unpredictable race, and I just have no words.
I mean, right from the get-go, my jaw dropped. That first lap, Valtteri lost it all. And we're getting kind of used to this, where he drops the ball in the first lap, but not to this extent.
You had him coming on the radio saying, I might have a puncture. So then we think, okay, maybe we missed it on the cameras. Maybe he touched wheels with someone else. I don't know. And then you find out, no, there's no puncture. And then he comes on the radio again and he's like, the car settings are a joke. But it's like, if you didn't drop back so far after the first few corners, you wouldn't be trying to navigate through dirty air. He's so used to being at the front that it's like the second that Mercedes drops back a couple of places, he doesn't know what to do with the car anymore.
One of the most exciting factors of Valtteri dropping out was we had two McLarens in the top three, and that got my excitement right up here already, because I'm like, ooh, some new people on the podium today. So it's anyone's race at this point in my mind.
Except for Lewis. Lewis once again got a clean getaway. We were just thinking, all right, we're going to be fighting for second and third. And you know what? That probably still would have been an excellent race,
Exactly.
Even if Lewis just completely ran away with it. And then, of course, Sebastian Vettel. It was already sad enough having him start 17th, but to just see him get that brake failure and just plow through those styrofoam boards, you just kind of realize that this was potentially Vettel's last race at Monza, even if it was going to be a terrible result if he did finish the race. But honestly, on the radio, he did not seem fazed.
So that was our first retirement of the race. Afterwards, you pretty much just see a race where people who are fighting for the third place are all within a second of each other. So that's pretty much where most drama was happening, where you're like, who's going to pass who? Pretty much everyone stayed roughly in the same position until the next event that happened.
Of course, we're talking about Kevin Magnussen, my driver of the day, because without him, who knows what could have happened.
So Kevin pulls off saying something mechanical, pulled over right in front of an exit. And you think, okay, no need for a full safety car. They could just pull that car out. Nope, not a virtual, a full safety car.
At first, I was thinking, okay, we're just going to get everyone backed up into each other. Everyone's going to come into the pits. Not much is going to change. Except for the fact that the pit lane entry closed, and apparently not everyone knew about it. So then all the confusion is coming in. Did Lewis make it in right before they closed it? Or did he somehow miss the signs? And did his own team miss the signs too? Utter confusion. We were wondering for so many laps, is he going to get a penalty for this?
Pits finally do open. McLaren double stacks. Everyone comes out. You have now the two Alfa Romeos and Gasly up at the top because they pitted before the safety car even came out.
One thing that was also just a tad bit confusing about the pit stops was seeing Norris come in, and I'm still unsure if it was a lockup or if he just really had to slam on the brakes, but the stewards definitely took notice of it because he was under investigation for a little while for unnecessarily slow driving in the pits, and for whatever reason they just kind of decided to let it go.
So now safety car goes in. Charles is already immediately passing people, and you're like, Ferrari's doing great?
Where does he come from? He's nowhere. And then all of a sudden, he's at the front. I don't know how he keeps doing this. He just kind of goes, oh, let me sneak right past you.
So you're just trying to keep track of where everyone is in the leaderboard. Next thing you know, it cuts to a shot of a Ferrari skidding across the gravel into the barrier. And boy, did he hit that wall hard.
It was one of those crashes where you kind of hold your breath because you don't know if the driver's going to be okay. But yeah, he just kind of lost the rear.
From this incident, the barrier was destroyed so much they had to red flag the session. That sort of just left everything up in the air where you're starting to calculate who's where. Is Hamilton still going to get that penalty? This red flag cuts the race at the halfway mark. So it makes it even easier to score now.
I pretty much put it at 8s across the board. With Bottas dropping back, you had the excitement of thinking, we're not only just going to get one, but potentially 2 new faces on the podium. And then, I mean, that kind of feeds hand in hand with the racing. Bottas got passed by so many people on just the few opening turns, and they were pretty risky, challenging passes. The second that you saw Norris just shoving his car in there, making his way past no matter what, things are getting spicy. These guys are really going for it today. The brake failures and Charles crashing, and obviously the drama and excitement is going to get heightened when you have a red flag. This is something that you just never see anymore.
As mentioned, my excitement went up probably to a peak that it's never seen before when I see a Mercedes dropping. I gave the excitement a big 9 right at the start. Super excited to see someone new have the potential of being on the podium, and right from the get-go of a start is really good. The racing, I did give it a 7, although most of the overtaking happened within the first lap. I still thought it was genuinely good quality of racing. Like you said, they were wheel to wheel up against each other. And the drama, I scored it an 8 just because sort of that unexpected crashes happening like we did in previous races. There's potential penalties being thrown around for people in the pit stops when they shouldn't be, braking too hard, not leaving spaces, scoring my overall first half a 8.
Me as well. So now jumping into the second half, we get a second grid start.
Stroll's on the front row.
Which I was so excited for because he's just notoriously one of the best starters on the grid. So what the hell happened this time?
Lost it all. He gets brought back down, I think it's to like 5th or 4th place. He's going super fast into one of the chicanes. I thought he just broke his brakes like Vettel and was going to slam into the wall, but he just popped out.
But then comparatively, you have Gasly, who's just moving his way on up. And all of a sudden, we have Gasly in second. Even so, though, you were still seeing the Alfa Romeos in 3rd and 4th.
I mean, Gio ended up going to serve his penalty, which pretty much ended his race from there. But Kimi was still fighting and giving it all he had when he was in 3rd place and getting overtaken by Stroll, Sainz, and Norris.
Speaking of Stroll and Sainz, though, wow, those two were neck and neck for pretty much the entirety of the second half. It was so exciting to see those little mini battles that were going on because for once you were seeing 2 cars, typically considered midfield, competing as though they're top-of-the-line vehicles.
Pretty dramatic what ended up happening also is Verstappen just retires his car. He looks furious getting out of that. Red Bull does not do good at this track.
No, you didn't hear from either of them all race until Max retired, and it just kind of seemingly came out of the blue. I think it was just they retired him out of precaution because there was potentially something wrong with the engine.
Also, you have Hamilton going into the pits to serve his pit stop right after the first lap of the restart. Gasly is now leading a race.
I was looking at Gasly in the lead and part of me was like, this can't be right, but it feels so right. This is the race that we've been waiting for. This is the kind of stuff that we want to see. An unexpected winner. You want to see the pack kind of be able to turn out any given podium, any given winner on any given day.
What was really intense about this second half was how Gasly had to hold on to it. It's one of those ones where he had to defend and push his car to the absolute limit.
And also factoring in how badly Carlos wanted this win. You heard him on the radio when he was trying to overtake Kimi. His race engineers coming on saying, don't worry about Kimi, we have better pace. Take it easy, be patient. And Carlos is immediately like, no, I'm worried about Gasly. I want to do everything I can to win. And he just pulls a move over Kimi, and they were so close to touching.
Definitely, and once Sainz did get past, he had a whole 4 seconds to catch up on Gasly, which slowly dwindled down.
It was just getting closer and closer and closer, and the pressure is building. And I didn't really know who I wanted to win, because regardless, I would have been happy for both of them.
It was also kind of frustrating for me where it looks like, oh, he's finally going to get within DRS. Nope. I would have really loved it if he did get within it and there was some actual defending as well. So Pierre Gasly ends up winning the race by 0.04 of a second. Super emotional. I kind of got goosebumps.
I got so emotional and I even had tears in my eyes because this is just such an unreal opportunity for him. And with everything that he's been through in the past year, getting demoted from a team that didn't really support him, losing his best friend, all of these things are, I think, crushing to anyone that can't handle that pressure. But Pierre has turned everything into a positive and is having the best season of his career.
Super great to also see 3 new drivers on the podium for the first time this season. Stroll also snuck in the 3rd place.
I mean, I think Lance overall drove an incredible race, considering the fact that he messed up big time after the restart, and he made it back.
And it was also so gut-wrenching to see, once again, Williams so close to a point on the last race with Claire and Sir Frank as the owners. So close, it would have been a nice little added touch. Getting into the second half of the Italian Grand Prix, how would you score the end of this race?
I'll start off by saying that I once again put the racing at an 8, because to me I saw relatively the same level of overtakes, a lot of times between the same drivers, but it was quality. Wheel-to-wheel battles, they were barely leaving any space, and it was amazing. My excitement, I'm officially starting to give out half points. My excitement was fully at a 9.5, and the reason that it wasn't a perfect 10 is because they kept cutting back to Hamilton. There is a fight for first place with a 1-second gap, and they cut to Hamilton in 8th. So otherwise, perfect excitement, but I'm docking that half point because the TV directors continuously keep focusing on the wrong parts. And then drama, how could it not be a 10? You had a red flag, you had a restart, you had Lance going off the track and then rejoining. An incredibly stressful battle for the lead between 2 drivers that have never won. It doesn't get more perfect than that.
On my side, the excitement stayed consistent with the first half. I didn't know what was to come. It was excitement because it was someone new at the top. Driving I put at an 8, because although you did have pretty much the top contenders racing it off, like I said, I would have liked to have seen first and second place get a few chances to battle it out at a few corners. That's what would have brought it up from an 8 to a 10. And otherwise, you did see Hamilton basically making his way up. Although some of the passes was predictable, the quality of the passes was what gave it the additional points. On the drama side, like you said, we still didn't know who was going to win. Max just gets out of the race out of nowhere. Is the Williams going to score a point? So all these factors coming in together scores the drama up to a 9 for the second half. So when you put my scores together, gives the second half of this race an 8.75.
Mine came in at like 9.16, so I'm just bumping it up to 9.25.
So, the official CCF1 score for the Italian Grand Prix 2020, putting our 2 scores together, comes out to an 8.5. By far, our best race of the season. We were blown away with the outcome. Excited to see if anything could ever top this race.
We have another race coming up next week, once again in Italy, but at a new track. Will it be as good as Monza? One can only hope.
Let us know in the comments if you agree or disagree with how we rated this race. Don't forget to subscribe. Give this video a like if you enjoyed it. We will be back here once again next week with another race review.
Make sure to follow us on our social medias. I do all the live tweeting throughout the race, and we want to hear from you.
We will see you all then.
Bye.